Hey guys, Sarah Halina here, and today I'm going to be reviewing SpiderMan No Way Home, so stay tuned. Okay, so first I'm going to go into my non-spoiler thoughts, so that way if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can hear what I thought without getting spoiled. Then I'm going to go into plot points and give my thoughts on those. For that, there will be spoilers. And then I'm going to go into my thoughts on the characters in this movie. And again, spoilers for that as well. The world now knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And the world believes that he was responsible for Mysterio's death. Now, not only is this news affecting him, but it's also affecting MJ, Ned, Aunt May, even Happy. Like, it's affecting everybody around him. So, desperate to make things easier for not just himself, but everyone that he cares about, he goes to the one person who may be able to help. Doctor Strange. However, when things go south while Doctor Strange is casting the spell, he kind of accidentally tears a hole in their world, allowing for anyone in the multiverse who knows a Peter Parker Spider-Man to just come on through. And now it's up to Peter to make things right again, no matter the cost. I think that this is the best MCU movie so far. I think, for me personally, this tops Infinity War, this tops Endgame. Like, there's plenty of action in this movie. There's a roller coaster of emotions all around. And there's also some surprises in there as well. There's funny moments. There's heartbreaking moments. It delivers fan service in a way that doesn't feel forced. Yeah, I don't think this is a stretch for me to say that this is the best MCU movie so far. So now I'm going to be looking at plot points. There will be spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie, I beg you, go watch this movie, come back here. I will be spoiling things, and it is not things you want spoiled from the internet. It's things you want to experience firsthand. So, go watch the movie. Come back here. Hear what I thought. Right out of the gate. Like, basically, as soon as we started this movie, everyone that is connected to Peter Parker is basically hounded, arrested, all of that. Peter, MJ, Ned, they all get rejected from every single college. Like, their dream is to go to MIT. They don't get into MIT either. But literally, every college is like, no, because Peter Parker is responsible for death and chaos, and MJ and Ned are friends with him, so they want nothing to do with the trio whatsoever. Yeah, things aren't exactly looking great for literally everybody who has some sort of connection to Peter Parker. But I do think that it is a great setup, a great catalyst for why Peter would want to revert things back to the way they were before his identity was revealed. Even though, there are risks involved with, basically mind wiping the entire world. I mean, because it's not just his life that's being turned upside down. Like, it's his friends, his family, like, all their lives are being turned upside down because the world knows that he is Spider-Man. Also, we get a Matt Murdock cameo. So, I mean, that's always fun. Yeah. Between, Matt Murdock, Daredevil in this movie, and a certain someone appearing in Hawkeye. I'm not going to tell you who if you haven't seen the show yet. Go watch it, because it's a big one, guys. It makes me think that with the Marvel Netflix shows leaving Netflix soon, or maybe they've already left, depending on when this video goes up, that maybe they might be coming over to Disney Plus, or, Disney Plus adjacent, I guess, aka Hulu, Star Plus, all that. Hey guys, future me here. So when I recorded this review, it wasn't yet confirmed that the Marvel Netflix shows would be coming to Disney Plus, but now it has been confirmed that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, and The Punishers will be coming to Disney Plus in the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand on March 16th, 2022, and will be in other markets by the end of 2022. So, by the time this video is out, those shows will already be on Disney Plus in the countries mentioned before. And if you are not in those countries, keep an eye out, because those series will probably be dropping at some point in the future. Alright, back to the review. Seriously, everybody, always listen to Wong. Wong knows what he's talking about. Like, he warned Doctor Strange that things could go south if he casts a spell. But of course, no one listens to him. Why does no one listen to this man? Seriously. Doctor Strange, Peter Parker, they have a fun dynamic. Like, I really love the whole, don't call me sir. And he's like, okay, Steven. And I was like, that seems odd too. Like, but, I'll allow it. Just their dynamic is a lot of fun. But listen to Wong, people. Listen to Wong. Now, the way I look at it, this whole debacle could have been avoided if Doctor Strange had told Peter, these are the terms of what's going to happen. Because Peter was all for it, and then Doctor Strange was like, everybody, and he's like, but what about MJ and Ned and Aunt May should know and everything like that. And so that was, messing with Doctor Strange's head as he's casting a spell, and the universe collapses. So, yeah, Doctor Strange, this is kind of all your fault. Because if you just told Peter, like, hey, listen, are you sure you want everybody to forget? Is there anybody you would like to know, like to remember after this spell is done? Oh, but I can't do that. If you lay out all the terms for Peter before you start casting the spell, we wouldn't be where we are. So, always listen to Wong, and Doctor Strange, this is all your fault. I really enjoyed how all of the villains were reintroduced, I guess. Peter's confusion as to who they are, and their confusion because this is not their Peter Parker, was just kind of comedy gold, honestly. And then, of course, Doctor Strange comes in, and he's explaining to Peter and MJ and Ned that basically the multiverse is opened, and everybody who knew a Peter Parker as Spider-Man is coming through, and yep. But the one thing that I wasn't super fond of with the reintroduction of these villains was, other than Doc Ock and Green Goblin, like, I feel like none of the other characters really did anything. Like, they were there, and I mean, I guess they did some little things, but overall it was really Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and everybody else was just sort of, I guess, along for the ride. I felt like we could have done a lot more with them and given at least all of them, something to do of significance, rather than just, Doc Ock and Green Goblin. That's just me, though. The Doctor Strange versus Peter fight was really kind of fun. Like, I really, enjoyed the fight. It looked really cool. Of course, Doctor Strange makes a point that, these villains that came over have to be sent back so that they can die at the hands of their universe's Spider-Man. But also, Peter's so young and naive and so full of hope, and he believes in goodness, and he believes that there's a way that they can save them. But the multiverse is at stake here, Peter, so maybe, just maybe, we have to let them, die. Poor Peter is in way over his head, believing that these villains can be saved. Sure, for the most part it worked, and most of them were on board with this cure. They're we don't really want to die, so if you can find a way to prevent that, that'd be great. And they seem to be on board, except for Green Goblin. This dude. This dude. Oh. Yeah. He doesn't want to be separated from Norman Osborn. He's where's the fun if I'm just essentially extinct? I don't like that. I want to live. I want to be free. And Aunt May pays the price for that, doesn't she? I do like, though, that before Aunt May gets killed, she, tells Peter to not give up on helping others, to just keep believing in people. And, it's just heartbreaking to watch Peter and May share, the final moments with each other. I mean, seriously, this child has been through so much. He hasn't even graduated high school yet. And he's basically, been dead for 5 years. Comes back, almost immediately watches his father figure Tony die. Then, a year later, Aunt May dies. This kid has been put through it. He's still so full of hope. But also, poor Happy. This is all taking place at his, condo. And he comes back. And, Peter's there. And May's dead on the ground. And, he's trying to save Peter by telling him to run. And he's arrested. And it's just I know Happy and May broke up. They told us that at the beginning of the movie. And I'm really? I feel like you guys just got together. But, okay. But, he still cared about May, and he doesn't even get to say goodbye to her because he shows up and he's arrested, and it's poor Happy. Oh. So now we move from heartbreaking to hilarious, I guess. when Peter essentially goes radio silent, MJ wants to send the villains back to their universe. She's like, look, they've done nothing but cause trouble since they arrived. You know, Aunt May's dead. We can't find Peter anywhere. You know, maybe we need to just send them back. And then Ned, who apparently has ties to magic, uses the sling ring to try to find Spider-Man. First he says Spider-Man. But it's not Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. You know, and then he tries to find Peter Parker. And it's not Tom Holland Peter Parker. It's Tobey Maguire Peter Parker. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I love this so much. I mean, I think there was never really a doubt that both Toby and Andrew would be in this movie, or at the very least one of them would be in this movie. So just getting the two of them back on screen, the two of them interacting with each other, was just so much fun. And I mean, they're playing up the comedy of it all, and I just love it. But one of the other things that I absolutely loved about this moment, well, I guess maybe not this moment, but having Toby and Andrew back as their versions of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, all that, is when they, you know, finally find, you know, Tom Holland, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. You know, he's obviously heartbroken. He's kind of lost all hope. And they share their own heartbreaking stories with him so that he feels less alone in his heartbreak. Just 3 Spider-Men on screen together was everything. Seriously, it was everything. Now, I guess this movie, it seems odd because, like, we had this big, huge battle when we were trying to save the villains, and then, you know, Green Goblin's like, nah, deuces, I'm out. And then, essentially, Aunt May gets killed. It's like, okay, we already kind of had this big battle happening, but we have another big battle happening. And this time it's at the Statue of Liberty. And I'm not going to lie, it was kind of an odd setting for a big battle, but it was kind of perfect at the same time. You know, I love, you know, Tom Holland, Peter Parker, you know, just being like, you know what, I'm going to coordinate my team of Spider-Man because I'm the only one that has been a part of a team. That was a lot of fun. I just love that, you know, this is the battle where everybody comes to the stage. You know, you have our 3 Spider-Men, you have, you know, our villains, you have MJ and Ned, and even Doctor Strange shows up, right? Like, this is the battle that brings everybody to the stage. When Doctor Strange is struggling to keep the rifts of the universe together, Peter Parker makes sort of the ultimate sacrifice and tells him, cast a spell. Fix it. Make everyone forget who I am, type thing. It's just, it's so heartbreaking. But we get a very sweet moment with, you know, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, telling Tom Holland's Spider-Man to never stop being Spider-Man. Like, yes, heartbreak is here, but that shouldn't deter you from being the hero that you were meant to be. And then of course Peter shares his goodbyes with MJ and Ned and promises that I will come back, I will find you, I will make you remember who I am and what we mean to each other. We see all our multiversal characters disappear. They go back to their own universes. Peter's saying goodbye to MJ and Ned. He's taking off. And then we cut to, I don't know how long it's been, but he decides, okay, I'm going to go see MJ and Ned, make them remember who I am, get back my friends who are now like my family. And when he goes to the diner and he sees that, MJ's injuries are still there type thing, he decides not to tell them who he is and what they meant to each other. So he basically sacrifices his two best friends to just be alone. Because even when he goes to Aunt May's grave and everything, Happy's there, and Happy doesn't know him. So it's like he's all alone. He's studying for his GED, though. He's got himself a new apartment. He's donning a simpler Spider-Man suit. And he's going out there and he's fighting crime as Spider-Man. It's just so heartbreaking to see him all alone in the world, with truly no way home. One of the things that a lot of people were wondering was, aside from who else is going to show up in this movie, was whether or not we would get some sort of "with great power comes great responsibility" quote. It's arguably one of the most famous quotes connected to Spider-Man. And we did get a version of that quote in this movie from Aunt May in her final moments, where she says, "You have a gift, you have power, and with great power there must also come great responsibility." Now, I'm really glad that they had Aunt May say this. I think, there's an argument that could have been made for either Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker or Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker to say a line like that to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But I personally am really glad that it was Aunt May who said it. I'm also, I'm glad that it was like, it wasn't quite her final line alive, but it was almost, great life lesson, I guess. One final life lesson for her nephew as she leaves the world. And, I'm just glad that Peter is still continuing as Spider-Man, even though everybody that he knows and loves is either gone or doesn't remember who he is. Not only do we get, our villains from the previous Spider-Man movies, we got Tobey Maguire, we got Andrew Garfield, we got Matt Murdock, we got a lot of cameos in this movie. But we get two final cameos in the post-credit scene where we see Eddie Brock and Venom, sort of. They're getting drunk at the bar, and then they disappear. So, likely it was, them disappearing because of Doctor Strange's casting of the spell to essentially fix the universe. But there is one little issue. There is a fragment of the symbiote left behind. So, I guess it was a good post-credit scene. I haven't seen Venom. Any of the Venoms. To be honest, I don't know if I necessarily care to. But maybe I will. I don't know. But, it was a pretty good post-credit scene. I think, it sets up a future in a way. Yeah. Now I'm going to be going into the characters and giving my thoughts on various characters. I don't necessarily think I have all of the characters in here, but I have all the, the big players. Some little players too. But, yeah. So, first I have Tom Holland Spider-Man. I have to say this. Yeah, I love him. Like, Peter Parker as a character has been through so much. And, he's seen things that no teenager should really be seeing. Like, he's seen, more death than any teenager should see. He's seen more destruction. He's seen, more battles, more anything than any teenager should really be seeing. But that hasn't stopped him from being so hopeful and believing in goodness. Yeah, it's just he's such a hopeful character, and I love it. And Tom Holland, he keeps getting better with every single MCU appearance that he is in. MJ. Okay. MJ's awesome. Let's be real. She's always been sort of an awesome character, since she was introduced in Spider-Man Homecoming. I love that she's, standing by Peter even when standing by him is costing her pretty much everything she wanted. She's just nope, none of that matters. All that matters is that I have my friends. I have Peter, I have Ned. That's all that matters. Yeah, MJ's just such an awesome character. I love her. Ned. Okay. I love Ned also. I love that he's Peter's ride or die best friend. And I also love that he gets to explore his magical side in this movie. I'm really hoping we get to see more of him in future MCU projects, future Spider-Man movies. I don't know what the future holds for any of these characters, but I really hope that we get to see more Ned, especially exploring the magical side of himself. May. Oh, R.I.P. May. Oh. Like Peter, May sees the good in people. But seeing that good caused her to die. So. Not great. I love May. But looking at this movie overall, she really didn't get much screen time. And she died a lot earlier than I thought she would have. Like, when I was initially watching this movie, like, I thought we were further into the movie than we actually were, because we were getting that big, huge fight scene. May's dead, right? Like, I was like, okay, like, we're almost at the end of this movie, and it's like, no, we're really not. Like, we still got a lot of screen time left, and Aunt May didn't get much screen time. She died pretty early on. I mean, I guess taking comfort in the fact that her words of wisdom to Peter will leave a lasting legacy. But overall, May didn't do much in this movie. Because she didn't have time to do much in this movie. Like, I don't want to necessarily say, you know, time-wise, because I don't actually know, but I feel like the first quarter, maybe the first half, if we're being generous, like, that's sort of all the screen time May got. And then she dies. So, no more May. Happy was not in this movie as much as I wanted him to be. Like, I mean, I guess he had more screen time than a lot of the other characters, but he wasn't really in a whole lot of this movie, and that makes me sad. But, I mean, we did get to see him, so I guess maybe I should be happy, but Happy just did not get a lot to do in this movie. He did not get a lot of screen time. And I really wish that he did. Doctor Strange. Oh boy. Okay, so Doctor Strange was the catalyst for everything that happened in this movie. After all, if he didn't cast that spell, we wouldn't have had this movie. And if he didn't cast that final spell, the ending would have been vastly different. But overall, Doctor Strange didn't do much. Like, he was in this movie much less than I thought he would have been when we saw the trailers. Like, when the trailers were released for this movie, I was like, okay, Doctor Strange is going to be a big part of this movie. I was a little hesitant about that because I was like, can we just let Spider-Man have a Spider-Man movie? And we did get that because Doctor Strange really wasn't as pivotal and didn't have as much of a major role as I initially thought that he was going to. And I think that was for the best. Wong. Wong has always been one of my favorites. Like, since I saw Doctor Strange, like, I was like, Wong is my favorite character in this movie. Not Doctor Strange, Wong. And I just, why does no one ever listen to this man? Seriously, like, no one listens to him. But ultimately, like, he didn't do anything in this movie. Like, but I mean, I guess this movie had so much going on in it anyway that, you know, like Doctor Strange, we didn't really need Wong. And yeah, Wong really did not have anything to do in this movie. Like, I think Wong had more screen time in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and he didn't really have any screen time there either. But yeah, there was barely any Wong in this movie. It made me sad, but also at the same time, I feel like it would have been overcrowding the canvas a little bit. Flash Thompson. I mean, he's the same as he's always been. Spider-Man's best friend. He doesn't do a whole lot in this movie. He's accepted at MIT, though. He annoys Ned with his memoir, you know, being Spider-Man's best friend. That's pretty much it. Like, Flash does nothing in this movie. But he was there, so I included him, but he didn't do anything. J. Jonah Jameson. I want to be mad at this dude. I really do. Because I'm like, you are just causing way too many problems for poor Peter over here. Like, he's going through a lot right now, and you are not helping things. But I kind of can't be mad at him because from his view, Peter does look guilty of a whole lot of things. I mean, we as an audience know that there is more to, all of this. Like, but from his perspective, Peter is guilty. Like, he says, where Spider-Man goes, chaos and calamity ensue. Everything Spider-Man touches comes to ruin, and we, the innocents, are left to pick up the pieces. Like I said, to us as an audience, we know Spider-Man is not responsible for all this. Like, there's other forces at work here. But kind of to the outside world, it does look like Spider-Man is responsible for a lot of bad things happening. Yeah, so I want to be mad at him, but I kind of can't be mad at him. I don't know. Doc Ock. Okay. So arguably he was the villain that got the most screen time. He was the first villain to appear. And I mean, Doc Ock is arguably one of the most recognizable Spider-Man villains. It was a lot of fun to have Alfred Molina back in this role. Just a great time all around. Green Goblin. I would say he was the villain with the second most screen time after Doc Ock. He's a pesky little troublemaker. He's the one who turned a great plan into a total disaster. All because Green Goblin did not want to be separated from Norman Osborn. What? I really did love seeing Willem Dafoe back in this role, though. So, that was a real treat. Electro. I mean, personally, I think Jamie Foxx is just perfect in this role. Electro was a fun character, I guess. I'm happy that he did things, but I feel like he kind of got overshadowed by Doc Ock and Green Goblin, who, I mean, let's be real, were the two main villains, I guess, in this movie. But I mean, I guess Electro did stuff, so. Lizard. I feel like Lizard did nothing in this movie. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, and maybe I can't remember what Lizard did in this movie. I'm probably blanking. But I feel like Lizard did nothing in this movie. Like, Lizard was there. For sure. We saw him. I'm sure he did something. I don't remember what. I just, I really wish that, Lizard did more. I mean, but, like everybody, I was just happy to see him back. I was like, I don't care, he's back. Sandman. Much like Lizard, I feel like Sandman didn't do anything in this movie either. This may be a case of just too many characters. I don't know. Sandman could have done something. But I feel like Sandman was, like, the villain that we saw the least of. Like, he was maybe in the background somewhere, but, like, he didn't really do anything. And it's just, like, I feel like we could have given these villains, like, at least one massively significant thing that they did, so that they were more memorable than they actually were. But yeah. Happy to see him. So that's all I got to say about that. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, or rather Tobey Maguire Peter Parker mainly, but I mean he does suit up as Spider-Man, so I guess Spider-Man works too. I'm so happy to see Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man. I love seeing him, kind of take on that mentor-like figure, but, he was a lot of fun. He was funny. He had very funny moments. He had a lot of action moments, a lot of heartfelt moments. Just really, really happy to see Tobey back as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Peter Parker, Spider-Man. They're all Spider-Man, let's be real. Much like Tobey Maguire, I was just really happy to see Andrew back as Spider-Man. What I loved, not just about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but also Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Tom Holland's Spider-Man, is the bond that the three of them really had. They were never on screen together as Spider-Man, and to see them come together, be sort of their own versions of Spider-Man and, Peter Parker, while also being, this unit of Spider-Man. They are Spider-Men. And I just love having them back. Matt Murdock. Okay, so Daredevil's now part of the MCU canon. I mean, he had a lot of fun moments, I think, but he didn't really have, a whole lot of screen time, but definitely a standout in the screen time that he did have. So, Eddie Brock. I mean, not much to say except, Venom now exists in the MCU universe. It was a funny scene, the post-credit scene. It was a lot of fun. Overall, this movie met my very, very high expectations. I had very high expectations going into this movie. The trailers, they revealed, the past Spider-Man, connections. Not with Spider-Man themselves, but, through the villains. And so, ultimately, it had a lot of high expectations. It was expected to be the movie that, essentially opened up the multiverse for really, truly the first time within the MCU. And, a lot of high expectations going into this movie. It met those high expectations. I am very, very happy with this movie. Lucy is too, apparently. It not only sets up the future of the MCU perfectly, teeing up Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but it builds a bridge between Tobey and Andrew's Spider-Man movies and the MCU. It was a complete emotional roller coaster with this movie. It was fan service done right. Just all in all, fantastic movie. Love this movie. I think this is the best MCU movie to date. Yeah. But let me know. What did you all think of this movie? Did you enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home? Do you think it's not as good as everybody's making it out to be? Do you think it was better than everybody's making it out to be? Really curious to hear what all your thoughts are. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you like this video, leave a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you can be notified when I upload my latest videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye, guys.